Hi, this is John Conway. Today we're going to be looking at adjusting the valves on a BMW oil head. First, we remove the spark plug covers, which is relatively easy. Just pull them back and away from the valve cover. And once we have the spark plug covers off, then we're going to use the BMW supplied tool to remove the spark plug boots. If you don't have the tool, you can wrap a piece of string and noose it around the head and pull it straight out. The important part here is to keep the boot straight, no lateral pressure on the boot. Now we have a 16 millimeter deep well socket on an extension. Nice tight snug fit, which is good because it will keep the socket on the spark plug. And here's the spark plug on the one side out. Now on the other side we weren't quite as fortunate due to gasket compression, and the 16 millimeter socket wouldn't get past the gasket. So what we have to do then is we had to remove the cover on that side. So we're doing it before we have the spark plugs out, and you're going to be taking the covers off anyway, of course. Make sure you're prepared for oil spillage. It's not a lot of oil, but it's a tremendous amount if you're not prepared for it. It's only about 2 or 3 ounces of oil. Once we have the oil draining, we're going to come forward. Now, of course, the engine has cooled down by now because you're only going to do this when the engine is cool. You remove the cover for the alternator pulley, and this is the pulley that we're after. This is, I believe, a 17 millimeter nut. And we're going to use that nut to turn the engine. You want to turn the engine clockwise as you're facing the engine, and this is in pursuit of top dead center. Now this is probably not the best way of finding top dead center, but it works for me. What you're going to do is take something maybe about 2 feet long, such as an extension or a dowel. Just make sure it's clean without any sharp edges. Drop it into the, you don't drop it, but you set it into the combustion chamber. You're always holding it, of course. And then you're going to turn the engine as we saw on the prior still, and when you turn the engine you'll notice that the piston pushes out the extension. Will tell you when top dead center is. At one point when the piston is pushing out the extension, you'll notice that the valves do not move at that point, and that is the point where you want to make your adjustments. I would say do 3 cycles of the engine to get a feel for it. Now here are the feeler gauges we use in this process. I find these so much better than your standard feeler gauges, and you'll see why in a second. And I found these online. You can either get them from probably any BMW dealer, but I found Max BMW great to work with, and also Beamer Boneyard if you want them for a little bit less money. And a good way to remember which valves are which as you're doing this process, your intake valves are closest to the throttle body and your exhaust valves are closest to the exhaust pipe. Now here are the only 2 mechanisms we're really dealing with when it comes to the adjustment itself. You have a lock nut which surrounds an adjuster, which is in the center. The adjuster is moved via an Allen wrench, and the lock nut I believe is either 10 or 12 millimeters. And here we can see the 2 feeler gauges being used at the same time. Now you're always using 2 feeler gauges when you're making the adjustments so that one adjustment doesn't affect the other. So we do one valve, we do the second valve, and then we go back and check the first valve and make sure, like I said, the feeler gauges are always in place. And here's a little trick I found for cinching up on the lock nut. Just using your thumb to push up on the wrench while you're maintaining counter torque with the Allen wrench. So once we've done all valves, then you want to look inside the compression chamber. And what you're looking for, actually the beginning of the compression chamber, and you want to just make sure that this donut gasket hasn't remained behind. If it has, you want to take it out. You're going to put it back onto the valve cover, or you're going to put all new gaskets all around. I don't think you have to do gaskets on every valve adjustment. I would say probably every 3. And next we're ready to put the plug back in. We're almost done. So a little bit of anti-seize on the plug. We're going to re-gap the plugs, of course, if we're putting in new plugs. And once the plugs are back in, then it's time for the spark plug cover. I'm going to walk you through this because I've lost more than one due to not putting it on correctly. Make sure these 2 little tabs are attached to these 2 little recesses. So you make these 2 first, and then what you're going to do is you're going to walk your fingers up towards the front of the spark plug cover, And as you do this, you'll come to a little resistance at the end, and that's where you snap the clip in. So thanks for watching. This whole process probably takes about 2.5 hours. You will notice a difference in how the bike rides, and it may just reduce surging if you're experiencing any. So thanks for watching.